Rob O'Neill, the retired Navy SEAL, who we know worldwide is the man who killed Osama bin Laden and author of The Operator. You tell me that still when you hear that line, it feels a little out of body for you.
It's almost to the point now where I know what happened, but there's no way it happened. But yeah, it's one of the things that
we
went
are
on.
grateful to you as a nation.
Thanks for having me, Harris.
Let's talk about this conversation that's going on very publicly. And my one criticism has been, if we're going to have these conversations, good Lord, can we do them in private so our enemy doesn't see us grappling over things with our military? I want to first get your thoughts on first reaction to what's played out.
Well, we have the former Secretary of the Navy complaining about a lack of chain of command when he's going behind his boss's back, being the Secretary of Defense, to go right to the White House and meddling in stuff that he has no business doing. And with the president pardoning, I guess you will, Eddie Gallagher, and making sure the Trident Review Board didn't happen, it was more he was taking the responsibility off of a lot of senior officers and senior civilians in the Department of Defense, saying, look, this is the end. That's how it should end. And it should have been that way. But then it just seems like a lot of people are so involved in this for personal gain. I don't know. Everyone from the prosecutors down to the NCIS is trying to get Gallagher in prison. I don't understand how it got this big in the first place.
Rob, I want to get your reaction to a couple of items. We'll start here. Former Navy Secretary Ray Mabus strongly criticized the president today for getting involved in the case, saying none of this would have happened if the president had stayed out of it. Watch.
If this president had not completely inappropriately, wildly inappropriately inserted himself into this case, none of this would be happening. This is a direct result of him reaching down, throwing the military justice system out the window, throwing responsibility and accountability out the window, and fundamentally disrespecting and dishonoring the SEALs and all our troops.
Rob, what do you say?
Well, it's odd that Secretary Mabus doesn't seem to realize that the top of the chain of command is a commander-in-chief, who is President Trump, and he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to insert himself, he can do this. It's wildly inappropriate for a lot of these high-ranking civilians in certain spots in the Pentagon it's almost like they're #resist people. I don't understand. And again, it makes us a laughingstock, not just our enemies, but to our adversaries. Everyone around the world, they're watching this ridiculous stuff going on, and it's unnecessary.
All right. Second item I want to get your response to. Politico today reporting that the president's strain inside the Pentagon inspires the talk now, potentially of more departures. Here's the quote. A handful of the Pentagon's highest-ranking officials have been debating just when they would feel compelled to resign over what they see as Trump's regard for the chain of command, end quote. Your reaction?
Fire him. Good. We need this. We've needed this. If you want to lose a war, get lawyers, politicians, and four-star generals involved. When you get to that certain level, it's all politics. He should have people in there, fire the person saying that, and fire their boss for not keeping their people in line.
It's interesting what you say, because some of the criticism about the president getting involved, Rob, has been, well, he's making this about politics. And what you're saying is that maybe politics were already there? Politics
are the problem. And again, it goes, there are a lot of great civilians, a lot of great officers. I'm not trying to say fire all of them. What I am saying, though, is they insert themselves into points. What's important is when it gets to the level of where a U.S. Marine is turning a corner in daylight in Fallujah, and he has half a second to make a life and death decision on who he's going to shoot, but he's wondering, am I going to go to jail if I shoot this bad guy? That's where it gets to, and all these policies. It's a lot of the swamp, to be honest. A lot of the bureaucrats in D.C.
Now I wonder, and I want to just get quickly, because we want to get to Syria too, where we've re-engaged there against ISIS. As a former Navy SEAL, how do you look at this as whether Gallagher should keep his Trident? I mean, it's difficult. What do you think about that?
Whether he keeps his Trident or not doesn't matter. I even said on Twitter, I'll give him my Trident, because his legacy will go down as it is. He will be Navy SEAL Chief Gallagher forever. He's retiring very, very soon. The removal of Trident, all that was a shot across the bow of the White House from Admiral Green out in Coronado, just because they just can't, for some reason, can't accept what's going on in Washington. It's mind-boggling to me. We should be concentrating on the remainder of ISIS, what Al-Qaeda's doing, what's going on in Yemen, as opposed to this and all the nonsense in the swamp.
And you bring up a good point, so let's do that. The U.S.-led coalition now has announced it's resuming large-scale operations against ISIS, as you were just talking about, Rob, in northern Syria, nearly 2 months after the president's order to withdraw troops from the region. So my big question today, the president said that we had defeated ISIS. What is happening? Has something changed?
Well, we were going to withdraw 2,000 troops from Syria. It went back to about 1,000 troops. We still have 500 troops east of the Euphrates.
Can they get the job done?
Yeah, of course they can get the job done, yeah.
Does that imperil them more because they don't have more?
No, they're good. We
US
have
troops with
2019, almost 2020. We have carriers. We have troops in Iraq. We have people that can do it. Well, we got to avoid what we do is we have a tendency to homestead, make huge bases like Bagram, and we call it the self-licking ice cream cone. It's there to support itself.
Can we contain a group of enemy that has metastasized in 14 countries previous to this?
Yeah, we can contain them, but they're going to leave. It's like trying to nail Jello to the wall. If we keep a big force in Syria, they're going to move to Egypt, which they are. They're going to move to Somalia. They're going to move to Yemen. They're all going to be there.
We were supposed to just protect some of the oil fields there.
We want to protect the oil fields. That's the oil fields to keep from funding the Bashar al-Assad regime and Iran. I mean, this is complex. I can stay the whole hour and discuss.
And you know that I would like that because military is my jam.
It's complex. Everything with Russia trying to keep Turkey out of separate the wedge between NATO. It's a very, very busy place, and we should pay attention to stuff like that instead of what we're doing in Washington.
And you're right. This deserves our attention.
I mean, our intel committee should be worried about that, not trying to impeach the president.
Rob O'Neill, thank you very much for your service and for being here. Happy
Thanks for having
Thanksgiving.
me. Anytime, Harris.